Have you ever found yourself staring at Framer for hours, clicking through endless tutorials and still feeling completely lost? You're not alone, because most people waste days, even weeks, trying to figure out this tool, bouncing between random YouTube videos and documentation that feels like it's written in another language. But here's the thing, you don't actually need to waste all that time. You can stop wasting time and master Framer in just 15 minutes if you know exactly what to focus on. You see, the problem isn't that Framer is complicated. The problem is that 99% of tutorials teach you everything except what you actually need to know to get started. They'll show you advanced animations before you even know how to add a simple button. They'll dive into complex components when you just want to build your first page. Now, I've been using Framer for years, and what I've discovered is that there are really only a handful of core concepts that matter when you're starting out. Master these essentials and you'll go from staring at a blank canvas to having a clean, working website faster than you ever thought possible. So in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to cut through all of that noise. I'm going to show you only what actually matters. No fluff, no overwhelm, just the exact step-by-step process to understand Framer's core basics, plus the key things that will make your site look instantly professional, and the biggest time-wasting mistakes that trip up beginners. Now, if you want to master AI tools and learn how to build profitable SaaS apps and websites and AI agents and mobile apps with AI, I've created a complete masterclass that shows you exactly how to do it all step by step. Now, this masterclass normally costs $299 to join, but since you're watching this video, thank you. You can join completely free. Just check out the link in the description below to get free access to my masterclass and start building your AI-powered business today. All right, so before we start building anything, we do need to understand why Framer has become such a big deal in modern web design. A lot of website builders are fine for basic landing pages, but Framer operates very differently. It's built on React, which means the designs that you create aren't just visual mock-ups sitting on a canvas. Under the hood, Framer is generating real production-level web structure while you design. And that's the reason designers have gravitated toward it so quickly. The interface just feels familiar if you've used tools like Figma before, so the learning curve doesn't feel overwhelming. You can drag elements around visually, you can adjust spacing, you can create layouts and animate components naturally, but the entire system is backed by actual web technology instead of static design layers. One of the biggest advantages here is that everything happens inside one environment. Now, normally the workflow looks all messy. You design something in Figma, you export those assets, you hand everything over to a developer, and then you wait for revisions, and then you realize the final website doesn't fully match the original concept. Motion feels different, spacing changes, responsiveness breaks, and the whole process just slows down. Framer removes that disconnect completely because the design itself becomes the live product. When you create components in Framer, you're essentially building reusable React-based modules that can be updated site-wide instantly. There's no separate handoff stage because the thing you're designing is already production ready. To see how far this platform can actually go, then open up framer.com/gallery. You'll find live websites built with Framer from companies and creators operating at a very high level. Sites from brands like Perplexity and Miro showcase the kind of fluid motion, typography control, and visual polish that standard builders usually struggle to handle properly. The animations feel smooth, the layouts stay responsive, and the overall experience feels closer to a custom-coded product than a drag-and-drop website. And that's really the reason Framer matters right now. It gives designers direct control over the final experience without forcing them into a slow design-to-development pipeline. Now, the easiest way to get overwhelmed in Framer is trying to design everything from scratch right away. That usually leads to random layouts, inconsistent spacing, and a lot of wasted time trying to figure out where things should go. The workflow becomes much easier when you follow a structured system, and in Framer, everything revolves around this three-pillar system: foundation, polish, and launch. So we're starting with pillar 1, which is the foundation stage, and this is where Framer AI helps remove the blank canvas problem, so you can focus more on direction, branding, and user experience instead of manually building rough layouts from nothing. Go to the upper left corner and click Insert, then below it select Wireframer. This opens Framer's AI prompt bar where you can generate an entire website structure in seconds. For the prompt, type in "create a modern portfolio website for a designer with high contrast Swiss typography and a minimalist grid layout." The wording matters here now. Generic prompts usually create generic layouts, so adding terms like Swiss typography and minimalist grid gives the AI a much clearer creative direction, so the generated structure immediately feels more polished and intentional. Once you run the prompt, Framer starts generating multiple layout options almost instantly. And what you'll notice here is that it doesn't only build a desktop version, it also creates responsive layouts for tablet and mobile automatically, which saves us a huge amount of time during the early setup phase. And this is the main purpose of the first pillar. You're building the structural foundation first, so the rest of the design process becomes refinement instead of guesswork. Starting with a generated framework keeps the workflow fast, organized, and far more efficient than staring at an empty canvas trying to invent every section manually. So now we'll move into the second pillar, which is the polish stage. And this is where the site starts looking structured and professionally assembled instead of randomly placed together. Framer is heavily built around systematic design, so the goal here is to organize everything properly using responsive layouts, reusable components, and interaction design. So let's start with responsiveness first, because this is one of Framer's strongest features. Select your design canvas, then on the canvas itself, click the plus icon button beside desktop and choose phone. A new canvas will appear to the right side of your desktop layout now. Now, each one of these canvases represents a breakpoint, meaning a different screen size version of your site. So now let's add another one for tablets, and on top of the phone canvas, click again the plus button icon and select tablet. Framer automatically creates another responsive layout besides the mobile version. So when you're designing, you got to make sure that your elements stay inside of the breakpoint boundaries so that everything remains visible across different devices. So once the mobile and the tablet breakpoints are added, you'll notice here the layout automatically adapt itself into more mobile-friendly arrangements. Sections stack properly, spacing adjusts, and the content remains visible without needing manual CSS or extra coding. And this is one of the areas where Framer really separates itself from traditional builders, because responsiveness is already integrated directly into the workflow rather than added afterward. So now let's talk about the core building blocks of the site, because almost everything inside Framer revolves around four main components: text, images, buttons, and forms. Text controls the structure of your messaging. Inside Framer, typography is managed through styles instead of manually editing every section one by one. You can define heading systems like H1, H2, and H3 globally, so changing a font or a color updates the entire website instantly. Then images act as the visual anchor of the design. Framer automatically optimizes and resizes them depending on the device, which helps maintain performance without extra setup. Buttons function as your call to actions, and these handle navigation and scrolling and overlays and interactions throughout the site. Forms handle the conversion side of the experience. Framer already includes built-in form components for things like contact, inquiries, and newsletter signups, so collecting user information becomes extremely simple here. So here's a pro tip that saves a massive amount of time later. Turn recurring elements into components early on. So go to one of the pages generated by the AI Wireframer and select a button from the layout. Right-click it, then choose Create Component. Name it something like Primary Button. Next, select one of the cards from the generated layout. Right-click again and create another component called Feature Card. Repeat this process for the main reusable elements across your design, and once created, these components, they appear on the left sidebar under Assets Components. So now you can drag them into any page, you can customize them and update them globally whenever needed. And this creates what Framer calls a source of truth. If you update the main button component later, then every version across the entire site updates automatically, which keeps the design consistent and dramatically speeds up revisions. Framer also has a marketplace that's pretty worth exploring. So open up framer.com/marketplace and you'll find templates and animations and plugins and advanced components created by the community. A lot of designers use these as starting points for more advanced sections like card stacks, interactive layouts, and motion effects, and then customize them to match their own branding and typography system. So now let's add some interaction design, because this is what gives Framer sites a more premium presentation. Select an element like a project showcase image, then on the right side menu here, click Effects and choose Hover. Set the scale value to 1.2, and this creates a subtle zoom effect whenever someone hovers over the card. Click the play icon on the top right corner to preview the page, then hover over the images. And you'll see the cards smoothly zoom in and animate back out when the cursor leaves. You can push this further by experimenting with settings like Skew X for a tilt effect or Offset for directional movement. Finally, let's add page transition, so moving between pages looks smoother and more refined. Go to the home page, then hold Ctrl and click the canvas to select the page itself. On the left sidebar, open up Effects and choose All Pages. Select one of the animation presets, then adjust settings like time and delay under this page and next page controls. Preview the site again and move between different pages. The transitions now immediately look cleaner and more polished, which does improve the overall browsing experience across the whole website. Alright, so now let's move into the third pillar, which is the launch stage. And this is where the website becomes a complete production-ready project. The focus here shifts towards content management, SEO, publishing, and analytics, so the site stays easy to update long after the design work is finished. One of the biggest advantages inside of Framer is the built-in CMS, or content management system. So think of it like a database for your website. If you're building something like a blog or portfolio or a team page, manually creating a separate page for every single entry becomes inefficient very quickly. The CMS solves that by allowing you to create a single template while the content automatically fills itself dynamically. So let's create a sample blog using the CMS. On the top sidebar, click CMS, then select Add Blog Sample. Framer automatically generates sample blog posts along with fields like title, slug, date, and other content properties. So now go back to the editor. On the left sidebar under Pages, you'll notice that a /blog page has already been created automatically. And from here, you can customize both the generated blog layout and the individual blog entries. So go back into the CMS section and double-click any blog field like title, slug, or date to edit it. If you want to edit the actual article content itself, just right-click the article and select Open. After making your edits, return to the editor and open up the /blog page again. Click the play icon on the top right corner to preview the page and the blog posts. And what you'll notice here is that every change made inside the CMS updates automatically across the live blog layout. And this is why CMS systems are extremely important for scalable websites, because updating content becomes simple without touching the actual design structure. So now let's move into SEO, because Framer already handles a large part of technical optimization automatically. It gives you control over indexing, redirects, metadata, and search visibility without requiring additional plugins. So that said, there are still a few manual SEO settings that matter a lot. Start with meta titles. These are the clickable headlines people see in search engine results. Click the settings icon on the upper right corner and then hover over page settings. Select a page like home, then inside the title field, enter your meta title. Repeat this process for every page on the site and try to keep titles between 50 to 60 characters so they don't get cut off inside search results. Next are meta descriptions, which act as the summary underneath the title in search engines. While descriptions are not direct ranking factors, they heavily affect click-through rates because they influence whether people actually open up your page. Still, under Settings, Page Settings, select the page again, then fill in the description field. Aim for around 150 to 160 characters so the full description stays visible. So now let's go ahead and publish the site. Click Publish on the upper left corner and then just wait a few seconds while Framer generates a live link for your website. Open up the link and your published site should already be online immediately. And this entire process just removes the need for complicated hosting setups, FTP uploads, or external deployment tools, because Framer already handles the infrastructure automatically through its global CDN system. If you want to connect a custom domain, open up the settings icon again, go to Page Settings, and open up the Domain tab on the left side menu. Click Connect an existing domain, and this part requires a premium subscription. So finally, let's talk about analytics, because publishing the site is only half the process. You also need data showing how visitors interact with the website. Click the analytics icon on the upper right beside the settings icon. Framer includes built-in privacy-focused analytics that allow you to track traffic sources, visitor activity, and button clicks directly inside of the platform. So having analytics integrated directly into Framer keeps the workflow cleaner and avoids relying on extra third-party scripts that could slow down the website. And that is how you go from a blank idea to a live Framer website using a proper system. Overall, Framer lets you design, manage, test, and launch in one place. And once you understand that workflow, building professional websites just becomes so much faster and much more controlled. And that's it for this one. Thank you for watching and investing your time with me today. I'll see you at the next one.